Hello, everyone. Hopefully everyone is coffeeed up. We are going to be talking about insurance for the next 10-15 minutes. I promise to make it as painless as possible. Hello, good morning. I am Stacy Liu, Principal Architect at Tokio Marine Highland. Today I'll be talking through how we optimize flood insurance through geospatial analysis. First, a little bit about who we are. We started about 60 years ago as WNC Insurance, specializing in flood insurance. Since then, we have expanded into other areas such as fine arts and specialty property. We're wholly owned by Tokio Marine Highland, who is one of the largest carrier in the Lloyd's London insurance market. In terms of flood, we offer both primary and excess coverage in all but one state. I'll leave it up to you guys to guess which one that is. So why should you care about flood? I put up a bunch of facts up here. There are two that I want to call out. One, even an inch of flood can cost up to 25 grand in damages. So people, when you go home today, make sure to check your taps. But on a more serious note, flooding in the US costs insurers and homeowners between $200 and $500 billion a year. So pretty significant. Just to bring it a little bit closer to home, where we stand here today in New York, this was hit by Hurricane Sandy about 10 years ago, resulting in 40+ deaths, 2 million without power, and $20 billion in damages. And that's just one hurricane. Since then, we had Harvey in Houston, and more recently with Milton and Helene going through Florida and the Carolinas, causing serious damage and significant loss of life. Things, unfortunately, aren't getting better. With recent climate change forecasts, flooding and hurricanes are expected to be both more severe and more frequent. Coastal flooding is expected to 10x in the next 30 years, and more hurricanes are expected to be more severe in the Cat 4 or 5 category. So some of you might be wondering, how are we as flood insurers surviving? As our friends down in Wall Street would say, where there's risk, there is reward. The question becomes, how do we manage that risk and protect our business margin? There are three views I want to talk through today. All three views are built using Carto. We have the historical, the current state, and the forecasting. All three views are embedded within our underwriting workbench. For those not familiar with the insurance industry, underwriters are the ones who assess the risk, place the risk within our portfolio, and price the risk. So all of these tools help to serve as a way for them to make more data-driven decisions. First, the historical view. As I was saying, underwriting is a multifaceted approach. Underwriters have to consider factors like flood frequency, distance to water bodies, and property attributes like elevation and replacement costs. For me, as someone in analytics, the question is, how do we present this information in a way that's consumable and effective? Here I have a map with two layers. The bottom layer with the county-like shape, that is the historical flood from the National Flood Insurance Program. So this is all the insurance claims that FEMA has ever received since the 80s. The darker the color, the more historical claim there has been. What we have seen from historical data is that where flood and hurricane has occurred, they will continue to occur. So definitely something for the underwriters to keep in mind when placing a policy. The top layer with the pretty blue and red wave-like shape, that is the storm surge layer. So storm surge is when a hurricane makes landfall, sea level rises, causing coastal flooding. The more severe the hurricane, the more the sea level rise, and the more inland that coastal flooding goes. So again, a very important factor for underwriters to consider, especially when placing policy on the coast. On the right, there are a bunch of metrics for claims, such as building claims and content claims. All of those changes dynamically based on where you are on the map. For simplicity's sake, for today, there are only two layers shown here, but in production, there are a bunch of other layers that the underwriters can click through and layer on, offering them a more holistic view of the area that they are looking at. Moving on to the current state view, The current state view is an aggregation view of our current book of business modeled using H3. So H3 is a global spatial index system developed by Uber, and it's also native within Carto. The color of the hexagon represents the concentration of our portfolio. The darker the color, the more policies we have in that hexagon. An underwriter can click onto each of the hexagons and be able to get area level metrics such as premiums, the average elevation, and such. All of those offer a benchmark by which they can price out a policy. Similar to the previous map, we have metrics on the side that changes dynamically based on where they are on the map. Going a little bit more technical, so why did we choose H3? As I was saying, we offer coverage in 49 states, so you can imagine that is a lot of data to process and render. We don't want underwriters to be sitting around twiddling their thumb waiting for a map to load. This is where H3 comes in. It offers 3 main benefits. 1, it is computationally efficient. 2, flexibility. Anything that's indexed into H3 can be layered on and visualized onto the same map. Here we have the flood book of business indexed using H3, but you can imagine we could layer on things like demographic and other businesses. H3 also offers flexibility in terms of resolution. Each of the hexagon breaks down to 7 little hexagon, and 7 little hexagon combines into 1 large one. So in terms of granularity, you can go down as little as 1 block for a hexagon, or you can go as big as a hexagon for an entire continent. So lots of flexibility there. And then lastly, we have objectivity. So historically, the way we have aggregated claims and policy information is at a zip code, county, or state level. But hurricanes don't care what zip code you're in or what county you're in. It falls where it wants to fall. So we believe that H3 offers a more impartial view by which we can view our portfolio. Last thing I want to say about H3 is that because it's native to Carto, we can adjust the resolution of it pretty easily. When the map is zoomed out, you get the aggregate hexagon level view, and then when you zoom in, you get the policy level view that pops up. Similar to the hexagon, an underwriter can click onto each of the policies and get location level details such as addresses, program, and other fun KPIs, again, offering a more localized view of the area. The idea with this map is to offer a one-stop shop for underwriters to have a view of our current state, enabling them to identify areas of opportunity and growth. Last but not least, we have the forecasting view. With the forecasting view, we're looking at live hurricane track overlaid onto our current portfolio. Live hurricane track is made of 3 elements. You have the red dots, which is the eye of the hurricane at every hour. You have the line, which is the storm path, and then you have the yellow shapefile, which is the width of the hurricane. The metrics on the right is filtered based on the shapefile of the hurricane. This offers an easy way for us to visualize and understand what the impact of a hurricane is, broken down by state and by program. So this is the front end. The back end is actually quite simple. On an hourly basis, we pull data from the National Hurricane Center that gets deposited into a PostgreSQL database and combined with our own policy data in the Carto front end. So all of the filtering and calculation is done within Carto itself. What about use cases? There are 3 main use cases. 1 is enabling real-time monitoring. So hurricane can change at a moment's notice. We want to be alert and wary of that so that we can issue memorandum for states in the active storm track. 2 is helping our policyholder manage risk. So for example, let's say we insure a museum with millions of dollars in valuables. We'll work with our policyholders and local authority to mitigate some of that risk. And then lastly, is around communication. So that's communicating with leadership, and if projected loss is significant enough, it's working with our reinsurers to make sure that our policyholders are covered. That was a very quick view of our 3 maps. As I was saying at the very beginning, this is a very, very challenging environment for us to work in, especially given the not so good forecasts. But our main goal here is to offer coverage to as many people as possible, and part of that is managing our business and our margins. We're very excited to continue to work with Carto to develop our analytics ability and reach towards that goal. Thank you, guys. I'll open up for questions.